I'm going back over the steps that I took just now to use a picture that Jan had taken of the wood chip path and what I went through to get that to be the shape and look right of a path that is 7 meters long by 0.6 meters wide. I'll move the shed to one side, put it over here. Although there's more than one way to do this, I'm going to import as an image the picture that Jan took, and that will give us the sort of the reference image that's actually available in the assets file allotment.blend. So I'm going to say import images as planes, go to the recent thing that we used, it's this one, import images as planes. It's sat there, so I'm going to rotate that around the y-axis 90 degrees over here. This, and at the moment it's called woodchip Jan allotment, so I'm going to change that. I'm going to call that. I'll now do a duplicate, and I'll move the duplicates, and I'll move that there. Okay, so let's pan down a bit there. Okay, right, so that's our reference, that's the reference image. I imported image as plain, but what I can't do, well, I could stretch it out, but that would look silly. In fact, let's do that so I can make the point to myself that that looks silly. So if I go into edit mode, grab the edge there, do a G in the Y, pull it out there, that's, so you can see that, and that is not what I want because that's just a stretched version of that. The other option I have is to repeat and ideally somehow hide the repetition of the pattern, but I'm not too concerned about that right now. A shift D in the X, move that up, and this is where I'm going to apply the pattern. Now this has already decided that the original wood chip is going to be how I'm going to use things, so I'm not. So let's get rid of this and let's totally get rid of anything associated with this. Let's go back to this one, make sure even if my case isn't sorted out, my naming, I've got some idea. So there we've got the wood chip as image. Here we've got path wood chip. I'm going to rename that. So I've done the renaming, path wood chip 2. Now at the moment this does not have a material associated with it. The material that I want to use is going to be wood chip Jan allotment. That's always just that's the kind of concrete object, so there won't be any renaming of that. And then down, if I go back here, and I'm going to say a new image texture. I'm kind of contradicting myself there, aren't I? Because I've said there we've got our definitive one in place, so really I want to be going straight to that as material. But what I maybe can do is go down here. Yeah, I can. So left click, it's already there, so I'll pick the woodchip Jan allotment.jpg, which is picking the file off the system. That's not really what I want, so I'm going to delete that again, and I'm going to add in, and I'm going to see what happens when if I come down to woodchip 2 here, and it's given itself a material. Okay, that's fine. Let's delete that material, and then I'm going to go here. I'm going to add in woodchip Jan allotment, and that's put that in over there. Sure, it's the same thing, but let's get rid of the alpha channel because I don't understand what that is bringing to the party. This is done the stretched version, so that's not what I want. And what I want is to add in a mapping and a texture coordinate node. And even more annoying is this should not have changed, but I won't worry about that right now. And also this says clip here, that's odd. Okay, so the actual values I've found worked for me are, so no changes to the PBSDF side, material output, no changes there. I went for closest, I went for flat, I went for repeat. Now that's done something kind of weird to this one, but it may be that I'm not allowed to have it all pointing back to a single object, because I was hoping that the material itself would not be kind of influenced, but I think it might be, but worry about that later. My main focus here is on the path, because that's not how the path looks. The path looks like this. So what has happened here? So some scribbles probably help to explain this. If you just take a little look at this diagram that's coming up now, it's flipped and flip them across so that the soil is meeting on both sides, not what I want. So the solution that worked for me was to, coming back here again, closest, flat, repeat, single image, sRGB and none on the alpha. And that's just my ignorance, because I don't know what impact that would have. And then the other thing, the rest of the stuff, so objects is what I was using. I'm actually using texture. Again, it may not make any difference, but that's what I was using, and that's what's worked. The next thing, now this is flipped around, is it? Maybe not. Anyway, I would have thought that what I want to be doing is moving the X coordinate, but evidently it's the Y, and I don't understand that, but again, I don't really care too much about that. So I'm going to tab that and things will change, I hope. Yeah. So that has shifted it down, or I would have said that shifted it down the x-axis, but what do I know? And then in terms of, and it's kind of, that's now getting towards what I want, and to make the picture complete, I found that again playing a value of 1.15 gave me something that was pretty acceptable. Let's try a 1.7. It's a bit too much on one side. Let's try, it needs to be the other way. Let's make that 5.5. A bit annoying that the original has changed, but maybe that's just how it is. I thought I would be pointing back to the reference. I could just use this as the reference, but it appears to be, I guess it's got to be affecting that, hasn't it, thinking about it, because this is specifically talking about the JPEG, and if I change values here, then clearly it's going to have an impact on the representation of the underlying JPEG. These now need to get added back into the asset library, the asset browser.